Hey y'all, Mama Snout here, and welcome to episode 5 of Mama Snout Says, where we shoot the breeze on what's happening in the pop culture world, keeping all us moms in the know while sprinkling in some mom inspiration too. On today's episode, I'm going to let you in on what's going on with Kody and Robyn from that show Sister Wives. Now, if you ain't much of a fan of that show, that's just fine. But if you'd like to stay, I'm fixing to sum up about 18 years of that show and give you all you need to know in just 10 minutes. And catch you up on why they are making news now, which is just in time for their new season 19. So stay tuned for that. But before I go on, I just want to add that everything I mention is just what Mama Snout says. If you have the time, please feel free to look up all the facts and figures on this particular topic. But if you only got these 10 minutes, just know that these are my opinions and just what Mama Snout says. Okay, let me fill you in. Now, it all started about 18 years ago on the network TLC. They created a TV show around a polygamous family, which is a family with many wives. In the show, the one husband is named Kody, and the 3 wives, now named the OG3, that stands for Original 3, started with first wife, there's Mary. The second wife is Janelle, and the third wife is Christine, in that specific order. In the beginning, they had about 12 kids between them 3 wives, and they had already been a polygamous family for quite some time. They were happy-go-lucky as can be. They were coming up with schedules for Kody's time, so everything was even amongst all the wives, and they were raising each other's kids too. For all the kids knew, they all had 3 moms. Shoot, they all even lived in one house at some point. Anyway, after we had about an episode of getting to know the original family, we as an audience come to find out what the show is really about. You see, the show was starting up because Kody was courting himself a new wife. This 4th wife is named Robyn, and boy, is she a character all unto herself. She was young, pretty, and sneaky with how she manipulated not just Kody, but all the wives, really. According to some folks who looked into it, Robyn entered this family divorced with 3 kids already and a whole lot of debt. Now that you have a premise of the show and understanding that this is real family, some wild things went on during these seasons. But I'm just going to give you 7 highlights from the 18 seasons to help you get all caught up. Okay, here we go. Number 1, they were running from the law. The family originally in Utah, that's where they lived, and they had to move because they were real public about their family, but polygamy was illegal in the state at that time. As the seasons go on, though, you will find that Kody will up and move that family many times without a care on the effect that it has on the wives or the children. Number 2, Robyn came up with an idea for something called Sister Wives Closet, where Robyn had jewelry created that she designed, and she expected the other wives to work selling the jewelry while she managed them. This failed miserably for a variety of reasons, and I'll leave it at that. Number 3, Mary, wife number 1, the only legal wife, legally divorced Kody so he can turn around and marry Robyn to be able to adopt Robyn's kids from the other marriage. Or so that was the reason they said. Amongst some of us older fans, though, I can tell you it really seemed like a plan from Robyn to be the legal and head wife, and she appeared to do some whispering in Mary's ear, and then suddenly it was Mary's idea. But that's just what Mama Snout says. Number 4, Mary got catfished something awful. Come to find out that Kody ain't been with Mary for years at that point, and the poor girl was lonely. She succumbed to a plot online and unfortunately was catfished. She eventually found out who her catfish was, and it was some deranged lady. But at one point, there was some speculation that if it had been real, Mary was going to leave the family for that fictitious person. However, to this day, Mary will still say that her and that catfish were just friends. Number 5, Kody went crazy during COVID. In 2020, during COVID, whatever was left of Kody's happy-go-lucky mask just cracked into a million pieces. He had rules upon rules about all sorts of things, getting the mail to how many squares of toilet paper everybody should be using. It was madness, but believe it or not, it turned out exactly the way he and Robyn wanted it to. You see, nobody was following the rules to Kody's liking, and so he had no choice but to spend all of his time at Robyn's house with her kids for the entirety of the COVID pandemic. Number 6, Christine, Janelle, and Mary finally leave Kody. Christine, that was wife number 3, had been really struggling with how different Kody was treating the other wives compared to how he treated Robyn, and her last straw was when Kody couldn't leave Robyn's children to attend a special surgery in another state for Christine's older child. That was it. Christine left and eventually remarried last season. Her new husband is named David, and we officially really meet him at the start of this new season. For Janelle, 2 things were the final closing chapters for her. The first was COVID. Kody tried to convince Janelle to kick out her 2 older sons in the middle of a pandemic because he didn't feel that they respected him, and especially didn't respect Robyn. The second was housing. Robyn lived in what many call the McMansion, which is an over 4,400 square foot home in the hills of Flagstaff, Arizona. All her children got to enjoy that house, while Janelle, at the same time, was living in an RV with her youngest daughter because Kody swore up and down there was no money in the family budget to get Janelle a home. She left last season as well, and we find out where she's headed in this new season. As for Mary, that was wife number 1, she tried her best to make it work for over a decade, but finally, Kody just let her know that there was no chance between them, and she took her leave last season, and now it's just Robyn left. Number 7. Now, in the event that you look up this whole show, I do have to bring this last thing to you. Janelle's son, Garrison Brown, did unalive himself. Due to the platforms, I have to say it like that, but you get what I'm saying. This was just this past March of 2024. Though it is relevant, it is still truly heartbreaking. If you decide to look up this family, this will come up, so I mentioned it here. I can say that this poor young man did have many grievances with Kody, and it was obvious throughout the seasons of the show that the kids, most of them really, realized that Kody abandoned them all for Robyn and her kids. Kody, to this day, will blame their mothers for his lacking relationship with all of his other children. As for Garrison, he was a young man that served proudly in the National Guard, was buried with full honors, and through everything, he turned out to be a good man. He is missed dearly by family, friends, and fans. Now, after those 7 highlights, that brings us to today. Why are they making news? Well, throughout the seasons, you can tell that 4th wife, Robyn, had her own agenda, and it was simple. Keep the other wives around for their money and keep Kody all to herself. However, you remember that McMansion I mentioned in bullet number 6? Well, it's for sale right now on Zillow if you want to look it up. There are rumors floating around that since the other wives are no longer sharing their pots of money with Kody and Robyn, especially with the show money, Kody and Robyn, who are not used to working because they have been living off the backs of the other wives, are getting low in funds and may be moving because they can't afford to live in that McMansion no more. If this is the case, who knows how much longer Sobbin' Robyn is going to stick around with Kody. By the way, that's what the fans call her because she's fake crying on the show all the time. They call her Sobbin' Robyn. Now I can say you are officially caught up. Some say the destruction of this family was a result of putting them all on TV. Other folks tend to point the finger directly at Sobbin' Robyn. It may be a combination of both, but learning from this, here's what I'll say. Be careful who you let in your family, and be open to what others have to say about a person, especially those you trust, because you never know if they can see something that you may be blind to, and that thing may lead to disaster down the road. Okay. If I've piqued your interest, the new season 19 begins on September 15th for live viewing or on streaming services the next day, which is today. If not, then hopefully you were entertained and learned a thing or two. Either way, that's going to be all for today. If you'd like to add anything else about what I mentioned today, feel free to comment below. I read all of them. I'd like to thank you for joining me on the 5th episode of Mama Snout Says. And lastly, but certainly never least, remember, Mom, you are doing a good job. Okay, see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.